Imagine this situation. A friend tells you about a person they know who drinks beer every day. Sometimes 1 or 2 beers, maybe 3 sometimes when the beers are small. What would you think? Would you think this person has an addiction to beer? Would you think this person is on their way to becoming an alcoholic? Or would you think, 1 or 2 beers, sometimes 3, such a small amount of beer, they are not in danger to become an alcoholic? What's up, beer lovers and future beer lovers? I'm Alice from Beer Licking Good. I'm a beer sommelier based in Munich, Germany, the heart of Bavaria, the very homeland of beer, as Bavarian used to say. And I'm here to teach you all things beer related. And even if we don't want to hear it, becoming addicted to beer is a danger we as beer lovers are in. We have to confront this danger. We have to confront ourselves with this truth, and we have to find a way to juggle our love for beer, or even being a beer professional as I am, and drinking beer on a daily basis due to our profession, but also as beer lovers and future beer lovers. We have to confront ourselves with the possibility of developing an addiction to beer. And today I'm going to talk about the way I found to stay out of trouble and keep this danger as minimal as possible. But before I do that, I'd like to ask you to subscribe this channel and push that notification bell if you're interested in the content I'm offering. And if you're maybe not excited but definitely interested in today's episode, push that like button. That would definitely help me with the YouTube algorithm, because this is a young channel and you know, every start is a difficult start, so I surely could use a little bit of help from your side. On a lighter note, before we dive into the difficult topic that I chose for today, I'd like to remind you of the ebook that I have on my website that you can get if you subscribe to my newsletter. You can check out my website in the description below. There's the link to it. There you can find an ebook with 5 traditional Bavarian beers with the style descriptions and a few beers that I would recommend you to check out on your next trip to Bavaria. So let's dive into today's episode. The last 2 episodes I talked about being a serious beer drinker. And by serious beer drinker, I don't mean someone who drinks huge amounts of beer and who can drink you under the table, but I mean people who are serious about beer, about drinking quality beer, about tasting and enjoying good quality beer. So that's my take on a serious beer drinker. But in order to become a serious beer drinker, I had to taste a lot of beers. I had to learn how to taste and enjoy beer, how to find quality beer, how to discern between a poor quality beer or a mass-produced beer and a craft beer or a good quality beer that's ingredient driven. So this took me quite a few beers that I drank along the years, but I knew that drinking alcohol regularly on a daily basis, as you have to do as a beer professional, could lead to alcoholism quite fast. For me, this was a very scary concept because I witnessed alcoholism firsthand. My father was an alcoholic. He started drinking beer at the age of 16. And when his father died at the age of 18, he started drinking more beer. The amounts of beer increased with the years, and he could take quite a lot until he got drunk. But when I was in my teens, he gradually started to switch some beer with some heavy stuff. Like Țuică, this was a liquor in Romania. I told you once that I came from Romania. His main hard liquor was Țuică, which is a drink similar to vodka. It's made out of plums and it's highly alcoholic. It's got about between 40 and 60%, everything in this range, depending on who made it. He started drinking it along with the beer. And soon enough, he stopped drinking beer and only drank this heavy stuff. When I was 18, my parents divorced, and alcoholism, my father's erratic behavior and psychologically aggressive behavior, was the main cause of my parents' divorce. My father moved in with his mother, my grandmother, and the next few years, I think 2 or 3 years, I continued visiting him. And one day we visited my father. It was in the middle of summer vacation. It was noon and my father was already drunk, wasted, completely wasted. This was a very hard blow to take, and that was the day when I told my father, I'm very sorry, but it's the last day that I will ever visit you. And it was indeed the last time that I saw him. My father died 5 years ago. He died alone of liver failure. The best way to deal with alcoholism is to not become an alcoholic. The dangers today are immense, and as a beer professional and as a beer lover and as someone who advertises for this amazing product that is beer, I also need to take the responsibility and talk about stuff like this, especially because I know what it can do to people, and I know that once you are an alcoholic, you will always be an alcoholic. It's a drug addiction like every other drug addiction. When I was younger, I drank alcohol not out of pleasure, well, partly out of pleasure, but I used to drink at parties and with friends and drown my sorrows and silence all these thoughts that I had about the world and about myself and difficult things I could hardly deal with. I had my share of drunkenness, and there are situations I'm not very proud of. But eventually I understood that I had to find another way to drink in order not to end up like my father, which is something that I am definitely very keen to avoid in my life. I think that becoming a beer sommelier was the best way to understand how to drink beer and how to drink alcohol in order not to become an alcoholic. Because as beer sommeliers, we also learn to drink responsibly, and we also learn to talk about the dangers that are associated with drinking alcohol on a regular basis. We also learn about the benefits of beer, and well, wine sommeliers might learn about the benefits of wine, but I'll stick to beer because this is my thing. Anyway, I had to find a way to deal with the dangers of alcohol consumption and also to keep on drinking, because let's face it, this is what we want to do as beer lovers and as future beer lovers. And this is what I found works for me, and maybe you can learn a bit from it and adapt it and find what works for you. I drink a lot of alcohol-free beer. Like this one I have right now, Free Rider. Alcohol-free beer, especially in Germany, has become extremely good because brewers have understood that offering alcohol-free beer opens quite a big market segment for them. It's become easier than ever to brew alcohol-free beer, and I talked about alcohol-free beer in 7 reasons why beer is better than wine. So you can watch that video when you finish watching this one. I'll put the link in the description below. So this is the way I do it. I drink a lot of alcohol-free beer, so I try to have at least 1 day a week that I don't drink beer at all. And then I alternate alcohol-free beer with alcoholic beer. And believe me, if you start doing this, you can discover as many possibilities in the realm of alcohol-free beer as you can in the realm of real beer. Well, maybe not as many. There's, of course, a lot more alcoholic beer out there than alcohol-free beer, especially when it comes to taste and quality. But meanwhile, there are so many very, very tasty alcohol-free IPAs, or last week I even had an alcohol-free coffee porter that was like, it blew my mind. I'm a big fan of stouts and porters. I've already mentioned that in a few videos, I think. I never thought that you can make a stout or a porter taste good without alcohol, but it was very, very delicious. So yes, go out there, discover your alcohol-free beers from your local breweries, or at least from small breweries and craft beer breweries, because they are those who are bold enough to experiment with different methods and different flavors, different yeast types. Get your alcohol-free beers and alternate them with your alcoholic beers. I hope this topic wasn't too heavy and the story about my father wasn't too depressing for you. If you liked today's episode, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, hit that notification bell and give me a thumbs up. And let me know in the comments below what your experiences are with alcoholism and what your mechanism is to avoid becoming addicted to beer. Well, addicted to beer I am already, but I'm addicted to the taste and the aromas and the enjoyment, not to the alcohol. So yeah, what are your strategies to keep the danger of becoming addicted to alcohol at the minimum? Thanks a lot for listening. See you next Saturday. Cheers and Prost.